Yeah, we're gonna be going through the top 5 careers ruined by injury. I'm going in order of just how I think their careers could have been different if they didn't get injured, in terms of the severity of how. Basically, this is how far they would have moved up on the all-time ranking scale if they didn't get injured, in my estimation. This is all what ifs and all that bullshit, but I just thought I'd have a little fun with it. So I was looking at these, and I said Brandon Roy, man. That dude, I mean, I know we always hear about him, but dude was a 6'6" shooting guard, 3-time All-Star. You know, he led the Blazers to multiple playoff runs, and it was an All-NBA second team in '09 and All-NBA third team in 2010. He had a couple injuries. He had multiple injuries to his knees. They were ailing due to a lack of cartilage, and it became real clear that Roy could no longer be effective, and he was forced to retire early by 2011. But yeah, man, Kobe said it himself, man. That dude was the hardest player to guard in the Western Conference besides him, man. Like, dude was serious. Brandon Roy was serious. He led the Blazers to quite a few successful runs towards the playoffs, and they made the playoffs, and they had early exits. But hey, man, Brandon Roy, if you put him on the right team, I wouldn't put him as the best player. I'll put him as second or third best player. He could definitely go down as a very successful team player. Probably have 2 or 3 chips if he went to the right squad and worked it properly. Could have happened, but hey, happens. Then we're going to move on to Greg Oden, right? And the reason I put Greg Oden in here is because Greg Oden was failed from the start, because I believe one of his legs was actually longer than the other. And when he was younger, they could have fixed it properly if the doctors identified it properly when he was younger, and they could have done all that before he grew, but they didn't. And he grew up with one leg longer than the other, and that's all kind of balance issues right there. And he had all kinds of injuries to his feet and his knees. But before that, man, dude was a 7-foot athletic center. Like, do you see some of these motherfucking dunks? Like, dude was Mr. Basketball, Mr. Basketball USA. Throughout his high school and college, career, my man never lost a home game. Let's think about that. He never lost a fucking home game. At Ohio State, some of his stats were 15.7 points per game, 3.3 blocks per game. Yes, I said it correct. 3.3 blocks per game and 9.6 rebounds per game on 62 motherfucking percent. 62. That motherfucker scores better than some of y'all do in your classes. 62%. Come on, man. On 29 minutes per game, that's back in college. Come on, man. Dude would have been a problem in the NBA. Easy. Dude would have been a problem. Move on to Grant Hill. Grant Hill was a 6'8", small forward, athletic wingman. Grant Hill was way more athletic than people give him credit for. He was a 7-time All-Star, 2-time NCAA champ. You know how hard it is just to win once? 2 times. Rookie of the year with Jason Kidd, co-rookie of the year. Dude was just an all-around player, man. Dude led the league in triple doubles in 1993 and won the gold medal at the 1996 games, right? My man finished 3rd in MVP voting, only behind Karl Malone and Michael Jordan. Dude basically played like Scottie Pippen, man. He had a little bit of Larry Bird in him too, but dude played like Scottie Pippen, man. Shit was crazy. Like, Scottie Pippen was an all-around player, but Grant Hill was, he was bringing that same thing, a little less defensive intensity, a little more offense, and that's basically Grant Hill. Dude with that Pippen Bird playing style, man, dude was the league leader in assists per non-guards from the 1995 to 1999 season. My man Grant Hill, and I forgot. I think it's only Grant Hill and might have been LeBron James. They're the only 2 players lead the league, in league history, lead their teams in points, rebounds, and assists per game at least 3 times. Or it might have been Grant Hill and Larry Bird. I have to check again. But ankle injuries basically for him is what broke him down, forced him to retire in 2013. He had a nice career, man, 19-year career, but it was time to call it quits. Next, we're gonna move on to Derrick Rose. The reason I have Derrick Rose above Grant Hill on this list is only because Grant Hill had a 19-year career, and he was a 7-time All-Star, so we did get to see quite a bit out of him. But Derrick Rose got injured very early, man. Derrick Rose was a 6'3" dynamic point guard, was the youngest MVP in NBA history. Like, my dude was so motherfucking fast. Like, dude, I was in middle school when he started breaking out. Like, dude, my man was so fucking fast. Like, I remember I said it back in middle school during his MVP season. I was like, he's gonna get injured. Like his fast-paced playing style, like you're bound to come to a screeching halt sooner or later. Like, there's no way you're not gonna crash. There's no way, you know. But if he didn't, then we might be talking about this man as one of the most decorated guards of all time. You know, if he plays his cards right. You know, after his ACL injury, Derrick Rose, you know, missed considerable time. And, you know, he returned to an being an average slash productive player at best, you know, in comparison to his star caliber. Last but not least, this is a player that I'm sure you guys are probably going to be like, what the fuck? He already had a great career. But no, this dude's career could have been even better. He could have actually moved up quite a few rungs on the all-time ladder. Dwayne Wade. The reason I put Dwayne Wade in here is because he was a 6'4" shooting guard. And instead of 3 rings, he might actually have 5 rings with 3 Finals MVPs. You know, in comparison to his contemporary competition, which was Kobe Bryant. Dwayne Wade in 2005, that was his second year in the league. And he had the Pistons on, he had them boys on skates. All right, he had them backpedaling on skates, on their heels. The Pistons had no answer for Dwayne Wade, all right, in the Eastern Conference Finals. This was his second year. My man was going to take the Heat to the championship round, you know, before he finally went down with a strained rib muscle in Game 5. You know, after playing with sinusitis, the flu, and a knee strain in Games 2 and 3. All right, I remember I saw this stuff live, man. It was crazy. All right, it was crazy. It was in his second year. The Heat lost that series in 7. You know, in 06 and 07. Basically, Dwayne Wade that year, he injured his shoulder. But early in the year, he missed 31 games, you know, prior to the season to injury. The defending championship Miami Heat, you know, because he did win the championship the year before that, before 06-07. Defending champion Miami Heat, they would be knocked off by that Chicago Bulls team because Dwayne was playing with a dislocated shoulder. He opted not to have the surgery until after the season. You know, and let me just say this, that's 2 years right there where he was a championship contender, where he didn't play simply because he was injured, man. Simply because he was injured. And we've seen Dwayne Wade play against a team that was superior in the Dallas Mavericks. The Dallas Mavericks, for anybody who wants to say that he wouldn't have beaten the Spurs in 05, the Dallas Mavericks, they beat the Spurs in 06 to get to the finals. Very competitive series. And Dwayne Wade beat the Mavericks. So trust me when I say, don't just rule out Dwayne Wade for not being able to beat the 05 Heat. Not the 05 Heat, the 05 Heat being able to beat the 05 Spurs. It definitely could have happened because the Pistons won 7 games with the Spurs, and the Pistons were no match for the Heat. It took Dwayne Wade going down to make the Pistons be able to beat the Heat. All right. Then in 06-07, I promise you, if Dwayne Wade and LeBron James met up in the playoffs, Dwayne Wade would have handed them that ass. Okay. All right. Especially with a Shaq. Oh, it would have been easy money. That's barbecue chicken, baby. Nobody's guarding Shaq. All right. Then we would have 5 rings, and we might actually be talking about this man versus Jordan. Why? Because Dwayne Wade would have won a championship in his 2nd, 3rd, and 4th year being the lead player off rip. It took Jordan like 7+ years, you know, to finally crack and get his championship. We could really be talking that, but we're not talking that now, you know, because it is what it is. But we're just talking fun here. We're just talking about what ifs. These are players that would have been, you know, their legacies would have been bumped up so much if they didn't get injured. I had to throw Dwayne Wade in here because we're talking about somebody who could be competing for GOAT status. If you're coming in your second year, 3rd year, and 4th year, a three-peat, that damn quick? Oh shit. Putting up Jordan style numbers? Oh shit. You know, hey man, he would have blown Kobe out the water. He would have blown Jordan, you know, Jordan's earlier years out the water. Now he wouldn't have blown Jordan's later years out the water. You know, it would have been comparable. But definitely, don't sleep on Dwayne Wade. He had a great career, but it could have been the top one, possibly. Who knows? But all right, we're gonna move on to the next topic.